origin story, or the earliest, I should say, origin story
Of
humanity?
I don't know.
Would it be the Mesopotamians? Would it be the Sumerians? Like who had the one that's the oldest?
I mean, the Enuma Elish is pretty old. There are a number of different like variations. The problem is that we're largely relying on like our complete copies are coming in languages like Akkadian, where the ones in Sumerian are very fragmentary. So like even the Epic of Gilgamesh, the copy that we have that kind of is the final. If you go and you read a translation of the Epic of Gilgamesh, it's going to be the one in Akkadian from the Library of Ashurbanipal. But the earlier versions in Sumerian don't even have the flood story in them. And
Really?
yeah, so and they're more pieced together. And we actually do have another flood story in the Atrahasis, which appears to have been influenced. The Epic of Gilgamesh story is influenced by the Atrahasis. But I, in terms of like written language, I guess it's the Enuma Elish. I don't actually know what like the oldest one is. But you get a lot of these origin stories, and they have these themes. We see it in the Bible too. The ancient Near Eastern cultures were very preoccupied with chaos and order. And so it's all about kind of creating order out of the chaos of the world. And that's where I think you do see the parallels.
Well, that's the establishment of society, right?
Yeah, and establishing chaos and certain things being representational of chaos within the created order, the Bible included, but a lot of other ancient cultures saw things like the ocean as the embodiment of unpredictability and chaos. And so that's why you have sea monsters are this very common depiction. The Leviathan in Job, which is this, sea monster. And it's representational in a way of, because it appears actually in Babylonian literature too, the Leviathan.
Really?
And it's encompassing chaos in the world. And the point of God bringing it up to Job in the book of Job is like, God has the ability to tame this thing. And even in the book of Revelation, at the end of the Bible, it says that in the new heavens and new earth, there will be no sea. And it's not because, I had a friend who is Australian, and we were kind of working through translating sections of Revelation. And he's like, hold on, there will be no sea. It's like, I'm Australian. I love the sea. And but the point of that, though, is not necessarily that like the body of water is not going to exist. It's that the ocean, the sea, is so unpredictable. You go out there and storms, can come out of nowhere and you die.
Right.
And so there are these like motifs that are representational in the ancient world. And we see a lot of those in these creation stories.
So would it be that the dangers of the sea would no longer exist?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So the sea kind of working as an analogy of that which is unpredictable. And actually, there's a lot of concepts of the realm of the dead being in the sea that we see throughout this literature. If you read the book of Jonah, there's this kind of stylistic, which you miss when you read it in the English, but it's very apparent in the Hebrew, where Noah keeps going down. He goes down from his town to the dock, and then he goes down into the boat, and then he goes down into, the inside of the boat, and then the storm happens, and then they throw him overboard down into the sea and down into the fish, and the fish takes him down into the depths of the sea. And when Jonah prays, he says, I cry out from the depths of Sheol, which is the realm of the dead. So there is actually a form of Jewish interpretation where it argues that Jonah actually died and was resurrected when he was spit up by the fish. And it could be because in the Gospels, Jesus says, all the people are following him and they keep asking him for miracles because they're like, we saw you do miracles. Do more miracles for us. Come on, do a trick, Jesus.
Right.
And Jesus says, the only miracle you're going to get is the sign of Jonah. That just as Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights, I will be in the belly of the earth 3 days and 3 nights. Prediction of his own death and resurrection. But there is an argument within rabbinical literature that when Jonah says that he's crying out from the depths of Sheol, it's because he's actually dead. And that's one interpretation. But another interpretation could just be that he saw and understood as a person of his day the depths of the ocean as where the dead people ended up anyways. Like your soul goes down into the chaos and the disorder of Sheol, which is the realm of the dead.